Oh, there she is. Okay, good morning, you guys. It is Saturday, August 11th. This is our Tell the World Nation Zoom call. My name is Ruth Sherlock. I'm a regional vice president and independent consultant with Arbonne. I'm going to be kicking off the call today with some announcements before we jump into our amazing training with our fabulous special guest. So grab your pen and paper. We're going to go through these really quickly. So it is the 11th today, so we're almost halfway through the month of August, if you can believe that. So I know so many of you are already kicking this month into high gear. The summer is such an amazing time to build our businesses, and I have just been so blessed to see so many of you take advantage of this time. Even as you're on vacation and kids are home and you're doing all these things, it's the best time to network because everybody's out and about, right? So with that, we have a few days left of the Pure Perks. If you've not utilized this, this is an amazing way. The essential oils are the Pure Perks this month. You can look that up on the website, but it's a great way to introduce people who don't know, maybe yet, even clients that you've had, maybe they don't know yet that we have essential oils. Wonderful, wonderful way to introduce these, wonderful way for you to get them in your hands at a great price. So that's all I'm going to say about that, but Pure Perks goes till the 15th, so I did want to mention it. We do have a Ben's Bash this afternoon at the home office at headquarters in Irvine from 2:30 to 4:30. You can find that info on our Facebook page. There's also another one next weekend, next Saturday, and then there's also Cherish's. She's on our call today. Hers is in September. So make sure that you get these on your calendars. These are such powerful events to take, not only for you to get there and get your cup filled up, but to take new consultants and to take people that you want on your team. I can't tell you how many people have joined my team because I've taken them to car presentations because we can share the vision all day. But when you see that from someone else and you see it in a bigger room and you see other people being successful, it speaks so much stronger. So make sure that you're utilizing that. It really is a business tool. So for today, grab last minute guests, whether it's your neighbor or your friends. Hey, I'm going to this promotion party. It's going to be amazing. You can come with me. Get them in your car and go. Okay. Don't forget, we also have this month, the PC upgrade fee is reduced this month for a preferred client to upgrade to a consultant. And it's also reduced for anyone who wants to sign up as a brand new consultant. So again, great time to be building your business. It really is the time as we jump into the fourth quarter, which is our biggest quarter. And it's going to be our biggest quarter because we've prepared for it. So that's why we build so strong in the summer and continue to keep that momentum. We have Pure Impact coming up in September, wherever you are. I know a lot of you around the States and different countries, so check out where your training is at and make sure you're there with your new consultants as well. It's the last month, August is, to earn the Donna Johnson Summer Incentive. If you don't know what I'm talking about, hop on our telltheworldnations.com website to check that out and all our other incentives. So push that aside, all the announcements out of the way, and I want to introduce our wonderful speaker this morning. Her name, like I said, is Cherish Wicker-Lamb. She is a mama. She has a 13-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl, little daughter, and she homeschools her son. This is her 3rd year homeschooling, so any of you homeschool moms on here can definitely relate with her. She's married to her best friend, Matt, and her story is beautiful. You should ask her to tell you the story, or you can read in the comments on my last Facebook post. She's been building her Arbonne business for 4 years, you guys. She's earned 3 incentive trips during that time, and she's promoted to regional vice president. So you definitely want to get tips from this girl. She's rocking and rolling. Like I said, her car party is coming up. And Cherish, I can't wait to hear from you, and I want to give you all the time that you have. So take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ruth. And don't mind my wet hair, you guys. I decided I can get a lot of things done this morning. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, it's almost 9. So I have wet hair this morning, but it's all good. So thank you so much for that sweet introduction, Ruth. I really appreciate it. And I'm super excited and honored, honestly, to be sharing with all of you this morning. So I'm just going to kind of dive in, and I'm super casual, you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. And I'm hoping that my story will inspire you in some way this morning. But Ruth told you a little bit about me. Yes, I homeschool my 13-year-old son, something I never thought that I would do. but I absolutely love it. We're going into our third year. I'm not sure what high school is going to bring us, but I did commit to middle school, which is 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And I'm absolutely loving it and loving the time that we're having as a family, especially with having a 3-year-old. Things are a little crazy around here. So being able to have that flexibility has been a huge blessing to our family. So, and yes, Ruth, I am married to my best friend, and I know that's so cliche, but he truly is. And if you know our story, which now you do, Ruth, it makes a lot of sense. But some random little things about me, just on the personal level. I love sports. I'm a huge sports fan. I know that's not the norm with the girls, but it's totally my thing. I love dressing up, but hands down, I prefer flip-flops, jeans, and a baseball hat any day. I love being around people, and I love helping people. But an honesty thing about me is I am totally like an introverted extrovert. There is no happier place for me than home. Being home with my little family is like my favorite thing. So, okay. My road to region, I think these are so fun and so interesting because all of our roads and all of our journeys are so different. And my road to region is not what I expected it to be. And I'm going to guess that most of us who are regional vice presidents and above, theirs wasn't either. And yours probably, if you're not there yet, yours probably not going to be what you had imagined. And I think that's the fun of the journey. But prior to Arbonne, I was actually a medical device sales rep, and I started my career in doing medical device sales in my last semester of my undergrad. So I graduated college with an amazing job, an amazing career, making 6 figures, and I absolutely loved my job. Like really, really loved my job. It was competitive. I was on a team of 6. I was the only female, but I absolutely loved it. I sold trauma products, and I was in surgeries with doctors who actually used our products. But I did know once I decided to start a family that I wasn't going to be able to do that any longer because I was selling trauma products. I was essentially on call 24/7, and that wasn't going to work with my husband's schedule and having a little baby. So when we decided to start a family, which if you don't know a little bit about me, I was married before and married and divorced all by the time I was 30, which was never the plan. But it was a huge blessing nonetheless. But so my first husband and I made a decision for me to stay home, and we made the proper plans to get ready to lose my income, which was the larger of the two incomes. But being a present mom was super important to me. And as soon as we found out I was pregnant, we made those changes and those adjustments. And it was obviously a huge adjustment, but we made it work financially. And so while staying at home with my son, I loved it. I loved being a stay-at-home mom. I was thankful every day that I was able to do that. However, I'm a doer. I need to do things, and usually it's something that needs to be more than just about me. So I've done a lot of little things, never in the network marketing realm, but I just have always wanted to still do something to fulfill myself. Prior to Arbonne, I was with a direct sales company, the only time I had ever done anything like that. And that company unexpectedly closed their doors 5 years ago. But again, God is so great, and I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. While I was with that company at a networking meeting, I actually met my now upline in Arbonne, my amazing sponsor, my friend Jacqueline Zarp. And if it wasn't for me being in that business, I probably never would have met her. I believe I met her kind of around 2008-ish, and that's when I was introduced to Arbonne. And what I was looking for when I met her was a shake that tasted good and that was good for you, because I had found healthy ones on the market in the stores, but they just didn't taste good, and I wasn't interested in plugging my nose while drinking my breakfast. So from there, I fell in love with the protein and started trying other products, and I absolutely loved all of those as well. And as time went on, what I like to call what I Arbonized my house. When I ran out of something, I replaced it with Arbonne, and I really loved the company's policy and the philosophy. I had followed Jacqueline's journey, became friends with her on social media, so I learned a lot about Arbonne through the years. And my degree is actually in health science. I'm a total science nerd, which has been interesting in homeschooling because science and math is like where it's at for me, and my son is like complete opposite. He's an actor, he's arts and writing, and so we butt heads a little bit, but we make it work. So with that background and that interest, I've always been really interested and intrigued by ingredients and ingredients policy. But when I found out about Arbonne, it really, really intrigued me. And mind you, I was just a preferred client at this time, buying and trying more products, all while still doing the business that I was with prior before it closed. So fast forward a few years after meeting Jacqueline, the company that I was with closed, and I was bombarded with people, not just me, everybody in the company trying to, recruit you to their business. And I think bombarding is actually like a really nice word in putting it. It was insane. It was a really huge turnoff for me, and it just made me feel awful and kind of gave me a bad taste to the whole network marketing, direct sales business or business model there for a little bit. But I quickly realized I wasn't going to let those, handful of people ruin that for me. But I was a founding leader with that company, so I made a really decent income while working very, very part-time. So that was the money that my son and I relied on, and the rug was pulled out from under me, like without any warning. Thankfully, while building that business, I had a part-time job teaching, which came as a result of needing to support my son as I was going through my divorce. My son and all those teachers out there, I give you huge props, because although I'm so thankful and so blessed that I was able to do that, it is just so not for me, which is funny because I'm homeschooling my son, but it's a completely different world. But I'm so thankful for that time in my life, just being able to provide for my son, the people that I've met during that time. But it was really hard going through that divorce. My son will never know the extent that we struggled, but my ex-husband did not help financially at all. And at one point, I was actually working 3 jobs at one time to keep my son in his private school, because I wanted to prevent more change. I didn't want to add more change to his life that was already going on. I needed to keep a roof over our head, food on the table. I had to have a car to drive. Like, you guys, I was legit like robbing Peter to pay Paul. And this is not my favorite part of my story, but it really is a part of my story. And I think it's a huge part of my why. And that although I'm in a completely different place in my life right now, and I am blessed to not have to work, which is a huge blessing after struggling for so many years, but it is so important to me to still contribute to my family, whether it is needed or not. I just want to have that control, and I will never let somebody else have that control of my future like I did before. So that is a huge part of my why. And without going through what I went through, I never would have known the strength that I do have, and never, like, looking back. And I remember when I was in it, people were asking me, how do you do it? How are you doing this? And my answer is, I don't know. I just do it. Like, I know that it needed to be done. And so I did it. And I look back and I look at some things and I'm like, I don't really even know like how I did it. Like, lots of prayer, lots of faith, and like just hustle, really. So long story short, when the dust all settled from that company closing and just dealing with it, because it really was like mourning a loss, you guys. Like, the company founders had become like family to me, so it was crazy. So when all the dust settled, Jacqueline, who's my sponsor, reached out to me and asked me to go to lunch. And at this time, we had developed a friendship. I was buying product from her regularly. I was a part of her very first Biggest Loser group, and we had a lot in common, including we were born 2 days apart. So we had got to know each other, which is one of the amazing things in this business. You get to know some pretty amazing people and develop some pretty awesome friendships. So we went to lunch, and I knew she was going to ask me about the business, and I knew that my answer was going to be no. I wasn't doing it. But I did go with an open heart and an open mind, because I did trust her. I've watched her journey over the years. I've seen her success. But in my mind, I really thought that all direct sales, multi-level marketing companies were pretty similar in structure. Again, I was ignorant to that because I had only done one direct sales company, really nothing in MLM. And what I did know is that although I was successful in that other business, the compensation structure was very complicated, I guess, for a lack of better words. And I just wasn't ready to go there again. In my heart, I was just in a place of, I don't know if I can do this again. I don't know if I'm willing to build from the ground up, because it was very difficult in that particular structure. So we left lunch and I was thinking about it and I was going to let her know, and I was continuing to use the product. I was continuing to refer people. You guys can see I was kind of a slow learner, or really looking back on my journey, it was more fear than anything. And I think at some point I even received a couple of checks, because at that point I had upgraded to a consultant for the discount. I made it very clear it was just for the discount. But I was all of a sudden receiving, some random checks here and there. A few months later, I was like, okay, let's do this. And I hosted 2 launch parties in my home. I talked to a couple of people. My mom had talked to a couple of people, and I was a district manager in less than 30 days. So woohoo, that's awesome. Don't get me wrong, I was super excited, but guess what happened next, guys? Nothing. Nothing, like nothing at all. I froze. I made excuses. One of my big excuses was I was planning a wedding. I can't plan a wedding and run this business, and I had a son at the same time. I'm sure you guys have all heard them, whether they're your excuses or the excuses that you get from potential business builders. But I had excuses as well. I let fear get in the way. You name it, I did it. I even said things to myself as silly as like, I can't ask my clients from my other business to come and support this business. Mind you, that business closed. I didn't choose to leave it. And also they were like, they like zero competition. They're not even in the same realm of products, but those are the silly things that I told myself. But every excuse under the sun, and all while I was still loving and using the products. I never stopped using Arbonne. And when I was pregnant with my daughter in 2002, I decided to jump in with both feet. And if you know me, this is kind of when I do things. I was that person in college. I wrote my papers the night before that they were due, not because I procrastinated. I just truly work better under pressure, or at least that's what I tell myself. And what's one more thing? I'm pregnant. I was sick the entire pregnancy except for this little window that I decided to start my business. But I did it in 2012, excuse me. I decided to jump in with both feet, no back door, no excuses, and just do this business. And I think that's a huge thing, is deciding that there is no back door. And once you've made that decision and committed to no back door, you really stay more focused in your business. At least I did, because I knew there was no option to leave it. I was going to make this work. I wish I could say at that point I flew to region, but that is not the case. I definitely wasn't on the express train and getting to region. I again held 2 launches, and I went to district manager in less than 30 days. And I am so proud to say that that was 4 years ago, and I never lost my district, but I did get really comfortable there, you guys, like really comfortable. I was a bonusing district. I was on the higher end of the district manager pay average, and life was good. I was home with my son. Well, he was in school at the time. He did go to a private school from kindergarten to 5th grade. And I didn't like see any other reason that I needed to do anything else. I had done this, I had maintained it. I was getting a decent paycheck that was, fun money for my family, except I was living well under my potential, and I was not sharing the gift that had been shared with me. And as soon as I realized that, I was like, that's not okay. Like, I need to do something. And it's not because it's not that I didn't have love for the product or didn't believe in the business. I did. I just was really just thinking about myself unintentionally. So I was a district manager for 2 years, or I think just a little under 2 years. And I decided to start working more on myself and being 100% honest. I was not doing any personal development as a district manager, which is probably why I hung out there for a while, and I was super comfortable. Because if we're super comfortable, we're not growing, right? And that was a huge mistake on my part. And I started there and started leading more with the business, and I promoted my first district manager. And I think this was huge for me in my business, because I had a lot of consultants for the discount. I had a lot of consultants who were doing, or not a lot, a handful of consultants who were doing like their 2,500 building block. And they were duplicatable, or the ones who were just shopping. I was fine with the way that it was, but I realized that I needed to do more. And so once I did that and I promoted my first district manager, it took me to a different level personally, because I don't like making things about me. And so I think another reason why I kind of just hung out there, I wasn't sure how to make it not about me, but this business isn't about us. And as soon as I made it about the other people and offering the gift, it became so much more fun for me to share. And when I promoted that first district manager, I was just in awe, and it was so much fun to have somebody to be working with. And this is another tip I offer to you if you haven't done this already, is to get a business builder and to get one as soon as possible. I don't know where everybody's at in their business, but I think when you have somebody else doing this business with you, it makes it so much fun, so much easier, and it shows you the potential that Arbonne has to offer a lot faster. And personal development is so big in this business, and I know, being on Ruth and Christy's team, you guys all know this. This business is far from hard, but it's not necessarily easy, and that took me some learning. And you will receive criticism. You will hear the no's. You will hear more no's, excuse me, than yeses. And if you're not strong in your personal belief and in your belief in Arbonne, it's going to get you every time, you guys, or at least it did for me. And I am in no way saying that things are perfect in my life and in my business, but personal development has honestly and truly changed who I am, how I handle things in my business and in my personal life, and how I've been able to build my business. I have yet to meet an MVP, you guys, that says that they got there by not doing personal development. I really think it's like an essential part of our business, and I'm so thankful for it because, like I said, it's not only changed my business, it has changed my personal life, my friendships, and my relationship with my kids, everything. So I went area in 2016, and I did it with one district manager and I'm sorry if I muted. I was getting a call. Hopefully you can still hear me. Okay, I got a call. So, all right, I ignored it now. So I went area in 2016, and like I said, I did it with one district manager and a handful of consultants. I created a really strong area, and I was always able to maintain my area and receive my district manager bonus every single month. I even received my area manager bonus a few times, and in late 2016 and early 2017, I was halfway to region, and that's awesome. And I was super excited, and again, getting a little comfortable. And then my business dropped. My volume dropped immensely. Like, I think one month it literally was like 13,000 less than it was the prior month. And I will never, at that point, I remember having a conversation with a sideline sister, and she had once said, I forget like her exact words, but when we were talking about getting stuck at halfway or getting stuck at 20,000, it was like she always said, because she had already experienced this, be thankful for that 20,000, because when it's not there, you're going to so wish that it was. And the other people would be so thankful to have that business. So that really humbled me really quickly, you guys. And like I said before, like, I had to do more, and I had to be more, and I was kind of struggling with that. And I knew that there was no back door for me in this business. And so I just had to really check myself and make adjustments in my business to make this happen. And also during this time, I had people leave my business. Although I had been told that this was to be expected and this was going to happen, up until this point, I had been so blessed to not have that happen. But talking about messing with your mind, like, it really messed with my mind. And so if you haven't had that happen, know that it probably will. And one of the people that left my business was a good friend of mine. She was a bonusing district manager on her way to area, and just out of nowhere, she was gone. So without personal development, I don't think I would have gotten through that the way that I did. So there is just personal development. I'm going to say it a zillion times, you guys. So I had to get past that. I had to continue to build, because I knew I wanted more for my family, and I wanted to show others what was possible. So in December of this last year, in 2017, I was overwhelmed. I was frustrated, not particularly with Arbonne, just a lot going on in life. And but I was blessed and grateful at the same time. But nonetheless, I was at a very overwhelmed stage in my life. And I won't lie, when I say I didn't play the comparison game. I know we're always told not to do that, but we're human, and I think it happens. But I quickly checked myself and reminded myself I cannot do this. And I had to just follow my heart and do more of what was going to serve others and what was going to serve myself, and just know that my journey was my journey. So at this point, I decided I need to take better control of my journey. And I have an amazing upline. I have a beautiful team, the most supportive family. And it was up to me to make this happen. And I it was really like a reflection point for me on my birthday. My birthday is a week before Christmas. My family and I always go to this little hole in the wall Mexican place for all of our birthdays. And I told them this will be my last birthday that I will be an area manager. And I realized that I was unintentionally holding my team back. And it wasn't, like I said, it was unintentional. I wasn't doing it on purpose, but I wasn't growing. So if I'm not growing, they're not growing. So I wrote, and it's still here in my office on my whiteboard, RVP to be in 2018. And it's, like I said, it's still there. And I just knew I had to start sharing more of the business opportunity. I was really hiding behind the products, and not on purpose, but our number one product, in my opinion, is the business. We have the most amazing gift that we all have been offered. And so why are we not offering it to more people? And I know I'm not the only one who hides behind the product. So I realized I was doing that, and my team was actually duplicating my behavior. So I set my intention in late 2017, and after the first of the year, this year, 2018, I reached out. I just noticed the time. Tell me if you guys need me to stop right at 9:30. I'm trying to talk fast, but tell me if you need me to stop. So I reached out to every independent consultant on my team, and whether they were just a consultant for the discount, whatever, as long as they had an ID, I reached out to them, and I thanked them for being a part of my business, and asked them where they were going in their business, or just what they wanted in their business. Did they want to go somewhere in their business? Did they want to take it to the next level? Were they fine? And going into this, I told myself I have to be okay with their answer, no matter what it is. It's their business, not my business. But I just wanted to know, without assuming, where they stood, so I could support them where they were at, love them where they were at. But so I could also link arms with the ones who were ready to grow, and that freed up some time and some energy, more so energy, to be able to share it with new people as well. So out of everybody that I asked, I only had 7, and I shouldn't say only, because I'm super thankful that I had 7 people tell me that they were ready to grow. It may not seem like a lot, but then when I thought about it more, like 7 people actually working this business, like magic can really happen in Arbonne. So I did have a number of people just say, I'm good with the discount. I'm good with just being a district manager. This is what works in my life. And that's totally fine. And I love them where they're at, and I truly support them where they're at. Not that I don't encourage them to grow and always check in on them, but for me, we are all Arbonne consultants second. We are people, and we are friends first. And a lot of these people in my business are my friends. So I would never jeopardize that because they don't want to do their business the way that I want to do my business. And I think that's important, because I've seen people leave this business by not getting that respect. And so with those 7 people, we started a Facebook Messenger group. We tried Voxer, but for some reason my team wasn't very responsive to Voxer, but they did really well with Facebook Messenger. And I only had 2 requirements: share your monthly goal with me, and get on at least 1 quick strategy call with myself and Jacqueline, who is my now ERVP, each month. And so in this group, we lost people, but we also gained people in this group. But it was, sorry, I took some notes so I could stay on track here a little bit. But this group actually became a really special place for our team, and we have grown to be like a little family. And I am so thankful, because honestly, when I started this group, it was kind of crickets for a little bit, and I felt like it was my group, and I didn't want that, and I was the only one talking, I was the only one sharing. But quickly, this group became a really special place, and although it was essentially established for our business, it actually became so much more. We ask questions, of course, share strategies, help one another, but also there's been plenty of prayer and plenty of secrets shared. In this group, we have really made this bond that I think has been amazing. So this group was started in January, and by the time we got to GTC, when we were all in the same place, it was like everybody had already met, and a lot of them had not already. And I was just like, I remember when everybody met in my room at GTC, it was like a proud mommy moment for me, because everybody felt the same thing that I had felt. And not only were we growing a business, but we were actually growing, amazing friendships along the way, which is a huge benefit in this business. Sorry, I did not realize this was so long, you guys. So in January, I was super focused, blinders on, eye on the prize, region was happening. I was leading with the business. I was being more confident and intentional in my asking. I spent a lot less time on social media. It's a huge time waster. I love social media, don't get me wrong. I think it's a huge blessing in our business, but it just can derail us in so many ways. So each month we were growing in team members and in volume, and some months it was not as much as I had hoped for, but nonetheless it was growth. So this GTC that we just had was my third GTC. My first GTC I could not attend. It was too close to my due date. I think it was like a week from having my daughter. And my second one I had one team member. The third one, I had one team member, which was a different team member from the other one. And then this last GTC, I had 7 people, including myself. And to some, that's not huge, but to me, you guys, like, I was like on cloud 9. I was so excited that I had that many people going, and I was so excited to actually love on them in person. And that is just a huge part of what I love to do. And I feel like it's a huge part of why my team has grown. And loving on your team can be different to everybody. I wasn't here, unfortunately, when Rita Davenport was our president, but I know, and I've heard her speak, and I forget the exact words, but she has said something along the lines that, people want to be made, to feel good, that they want you to make them feel good. And it makes me feel good to make other people feel good. And I love that this business is a platform to do that. So, before we went to GTC, before we even got there, our team was more than halfway to regional vice president qualification. And I know it's been said in Arbonne, and I've heard it a zillion times, that April or GTC month is not a good month to go into qualification for a level because, the volume is not accurate because we have new products and all that stuff. And people were even telling me that then when they knew how close I was, but I wasn't letting that stop me because I felt really confident. Yes, make me feel important. Thank you so much, Natasha. But I felt really confident with the growth that we had had since December. And like I said, we are already over halfway to regional vice president qualification. And I knew it was going to happen. And from January to March, we had promoted 3 more district managers. In April, we had many more in qual, and we also had somebody in qualification for area. So I felt like we were really growing and doing this organically. When we left GTC, I knew it was going to happen. And not going to lie, I was super scared. But I think being scared and being uncomfortable is super important because that's when good things are happening. The next week, we were on fire. And then April 25th, I was leaving on a trip to Florida that had been planned for months. And it was senior weekend for my sister. She played softball for University of Florida. This was her senior weekend, her last year that I was going to get to see her. I wasn't going to miss it. We were going. Chaos was happening. Last minute, my son got called onto a job, didn't get to go with us. It was super upsetting because we had made a longer trip because it was going to be like a family trip and it was going to be my daughter's birthday, and then my son doesn't get to go. And so it was really hard for me. And so we went on this trip. We were leaving on the 25th, and guess when we were coming back, guys? April 30th, close day. I'm like, thank you, husband, for scheduling that. But again, it was scheduled long before. But we were arriving in LAX at 11 a.m. So keep that in mind. So I went to Florida with my family, minus my son. I enjoyed my daughter's birthday, spent time with my family, and all while still working my business from the softball field and from our Airbnb. You name it, I was working everywhere, but I truly had an amazing trip as well, which is another huge benefit to this business. So on the 30th, we woke up in the morning, and long story short, I had to wake a 3-year-old up at the butt crack of dawn. I think it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. We had over an hour drive to the airport. There was tolls that were shut down, so we had like detours. We had to return. Our rental car needed gas. We weren't going to get gas. We were just going to pay the fine. It didn't matter. But then my husband's like, we're not going to make it to the airport. So all this while I had this huge knot in my stomach, not knowing where to return the rental car. Finally get into the airport, and there's an hour-plus line in security. And I'm like, I have to get on this plane. I have to get back to LA by 11 a.m. Like, it just has to happen. My heart was beating out of my chest. My stomach was in knots. you've ever met my husband, he is the calm to my crazy, and he kept me completely calm. And I just decided to ask this lady what this line over here was for, because there's nobody in it. And it was for, I don't know, VIP. I forget exactly what it was. And I was like, oh, okay. And I said, do you think we're going to make this? And I was legitimately asking, like, do you think I'm going to miss my flight? And I showed her my boarding pass, and she's like, oh, she looked up. She's like, you should be fine. But would you like to go in this line? I'm like, yeah. And so she let us go in the short line. Thank God she did, you guys, because we got through security with the stroller, all this stuff, and we got to the gate as they were calling our names, like last call for us to get on this plane. And I just kept thinking, I can't be delayed. Any other time I would have been like, whatever, if it happens, it happens. But I'm like, I have to get home to my team. And so got home, got my son, and literally like all I did was Armand. I was back in touch with my team, and we just worked really hard together that entire day. And my family took over doing all the family stuff, unpacking, all that stuff. And we did it. We went into RVP qual that night, and it wasn't at midnight, which was nice, but I was still exhausted because I was up 2 a.m. East Coast time. But it was just the most amazing feeling. Sorry, still getting emotional with it. Like everybody just coming together, and really how that happened was that last, no, that actually happened next month. So sorry, but everybody had their goals, and we were working together. And at 10 o'clock, I was putting in my last order, and my doorbell rings. It was Jacqueline and a couple people from my team with champagne and flowers. And it was super exciting, amazing. I was exhausted. The next day, May 1st, which was my son's birthday. My kids are 10 years, 5 days apart. And so it was my son's birthday. I had to power through. I had to be there for him and make that day special. And moving on, by this point, I had promoted more district managers. We had a new area manager, somebody in area manager qualification. Our business was growing, and I knew May was the month that I had to do this. I know we have a 3-month option, but which is fine, but I told myself I had to do this in 2 months, because Renee Scott, a lot of you may know her, she's my national vice president. She had told me a long time ago, when you're going RVP, forget about routines, forget about a clean house, forget about having groceries and all that stuff. And you guys, that was legit my life. Like seriously, like looking around, I'm just like, oh my gosh. So keep that in mind, because as we were that last month in May, we all got together again, made our goals. Everybody had a goal. They were mapping out their goals, and if everybody hit that goal, we were going to more than surpass RVP completion. And so I really focused, my main focus that month was to help them achieve their goals. Of course, while always working my personal business, but for me, helping them with their goals, like that's where it's at for me. That's where I get my fulfillment. And so I was helping them all month long. Not gonna lie, the last week of May, I questioned myself, like, okay, like you have 3 months, like don't worry about it, like just do the 3-month option. And not that that's not okay, but I had already committed to the 2-month option, and I just really needed to stay focused and not let doubt creep in my mind. And on May 31st in the morning, it was such a blur, but I still remember it so distinctly. My son came downstairs, and he's like, Mom, I'm not really sure what happened, but are we going to Target today? I'm like, yes, why? And he's like, I don't have any underwear. Like, I don't know where they are. I'm like, I know where they are, in the laundry room, in the dirty clothes. Like, as helpful as my husband was, like he was picking up so much slack. Like, you guys, I wasn't doing the laundry, and it was crazy. I was just like, okay, let's go. We got in the car. I literally bought him underwear because I wasn't doing laundry that day. And I drove 8 miles round trip to Target, and there's a closer Target, but that's not the good Target. And so I went, and on my way there and back, I'm still letting this doubt creep in my mind. You guys, like, I'm exhausted. I just need to finish this next month. I had so much going on that day personally with my kids, and not gonna lie, in that 8 miles round trip, I saw 7 white Mercedes. And I was like, okay, if that's not a sign, like literally started crying on the way home. My son's in the backseat. He's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing, I'm fine. We need to get home. I need your help today, which he's amazing with my daughter. The 10-year age gap is a huge blessing in our family. And he just kind of took over with her. I worked with my team, and we made it happen. we finished that night. Jacqueline, my upline, came over. She brought my family dinner because, like I said, nobody was cooking. And we finished that night with her here with my team. And it was, my kids were in bed because it did happen at midnight. It was like literally crunching numbers, making sure it was going to happen. And we finished. And it's been the biggest blessing. Gosh, I didn't think I was going to get this emotional. It's still fresh. It's still so new. So the biggest blessing, and seeing the promotions that came along with it, my team who mostly West Coast, but across the country, were staying up late on their vacations. I had somebody who was on a cruise ship who was like literally like in somebody else's cabin because that cabin had better Wi-Fi than she did, and was, you know, checking in and trying to do everything that we could. So just seeing that rallying and all of that was like the most amazing thing, and made everything worth it. When I was ready to throw in the towel, when I was like, this is not my time, this is not my month, it all came together, and it was so amazing. And I'm going to brunch after this with my crying eyes. But it was the biggest blessing. It has been the biggest blessing. And another funny thing, so I promoted June 1st. My car registration that I had at the time was due July 1st. And I told my husband like a few months prior when we got the registration, I'm like, I will not be paying this. Like, seriously, well, I will not be paying this. Or we won't be paying this. It was another motivating thing. And so being able to get my car that's paid for by Arbonne and to turn that car in and not have to pay that registration, not have to pay that car payment, and go moving forward. So now here we are in August, and it's just, it hasn't stopped. That community that we have built has really been a game changer for my team. We just promoted another area manager, and just things are really growing, and so many people have, like, so many lives have been changed, so many people's perspectives have been changed. And for me, again, like, that's where it's at. This business, these products are amazing, and this is the vehicle that has given me these friendships, has given me this platform. But that and my team, and like seeing their confidence and their strength and growing, has just been hands down the best part of my promotion. So before I cry too much with you guys, that's pretty much it. That's my road to region and beyond. My car party has not happened yet. It's actually happening on September 15th. So if you guys are local enough to make it, I would love to celebrate with you guys. I know Christy and Ruth have the flyer so they can share with you. So unless you guys have questions, I am done.
Cherish, that was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your full journey. You know, we see so much on social media of the highlight reel, and we don't know the struggles. You know, it's like, oh, it just must have come so easy, or they did it so quickly, or, you know, of course she can do it. You know, she's married, so she has a husband, you know, or of course she can do it because she's single and she doesn't have a husband or a family or whatever, you know. But to hear your story and all the struggles, thank you for sharing those things, because we all go through them, you know. And I remember myself going through times where I was like, I don't want anybody to know, like, that I'm doubting this or I'm questioning, you know, or whatever. But it's real. It's part of it. And like you said, that personal development, and I know you have an amazing upline that is supporting you as well, you know. So it's just beautiful. You have worked so hard for this. I will for sure be at your car party. I know a lot of us will. We've already shared it. We've been sharing it since it came out, the flyer. But yeah, so thank you so much. Your heart is beautiful. And I don't know if there's do you have time for like one quick question? If anyone has like a burning question.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have a burning question for Cherish?
I'm just reading the comments now, you guys.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Yeah. And I'm getting messages from my team like, oh my gosh, like I'm crying, like this is beautiful. So
sorry, I told myself I wasn't to cry, but I did.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for your heart. Cannot wait to celebrate with you in Irvine on September 15th. Oh no, not Irvine. It's not going to be in Irvine.
No,
it's going to be in
Upland,
Upland.
which is the Inland Empire. So I live in Ranch Cucamonga. My car party's in Upland.
Perfect.
So
okay. All right.
It's really easy to get to. So hopefully you guys can make it. So
awesome. Well, you're wonderful. Love you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.